Autistic, and we're gonna have so much fun. I'm Train Chan, everybody's best friend. I'm Train Chan, time to restart again. I'm Train Chan, I like to go zoom zoom. I'm Train Chan, I make you go boom boom. I like birds, I think they're neat. And I hear you brought a new friend just for me. She likes flowers and drinking tea. So why does your screen keep saying defeat? I'm Train Chan, everybody's best friend. I'm Train Chan, time to restart again. I'm Train Chan, I like to go zoom zoom. I'm Train Chan, I make you go boom boom. Widescreen, that's no fair. Why does everyone look so scared? They said I'm special, it's the truth. Intercept my hawks and missiles too. I'm Train Chan, everybody's best friend. I'm Train Chan, time to restart again. I'm Train Chan, I like to go zoom zoom. I'm Train Chan, I make you go boom boom. I'm Train Chan, everybody's best friend. I'm Train Chan, time to restart again. I'm Train Chan, I like to go zoom zoom. I'm Train Chan, I make you go boom boom.
Kapla warriors, today is a good day to learn. You all will be learning about a new subject today. You just got a little sample. That's one of the kids' favorite songs. They love Train Chan. Only song they love more than Train Chan is Baby Shark and Wheels on a Bus. Wheels on the Bus, my god. So yes, you guys voted or commented, I should say, that you were interested in learning about my field of study, my doctoral field of study. So I brought up some images, but also will be open for questions. So I started my journey many years ago by going to school for pre-veterinary medicine. And then I changed my mind. So I did the prereqs to go into speech-language pathology. And some of the prereqs were like Psych 101, Lifespan Development, American Sign Language, Statistics, which I assume was to prepare us to read research, that was an awesome class. Everyone should have to take statistics. I don't know why. That should be included in high school, I think. Anyway, though. So yes, and then I went on and had my 2 years of undergrad, 2 years of speech-language pathology undergrad. KMN props. Vet stuff led to children because I was just trying to avoid adult humans at all costs while still doing medicine. So I was like, okay, well, medical, you know. So I was like, well, first choice would be animals, obviously. Second choice would be children because, you know, they're pretty similar to dogs, especially in those early years. Actually, studies have found that dogs have very similar intelligence to about a 3-year-old child. I don't say that to parents usually because some view that as an insult, supposedly. But whatever. And so I did the 2 years of undergrad, and undergrad's really cutthroat because you're trying to get into grad school and they're trying to weed out the weak links. Then you get to grad school and it is smooth sailing, which is awesome because they don't want you to fail grad school, and then they even more don't want you to fail doctorate, so it really helps. So once you make it past undergrad, it gets way better. I mean, it's not like it's easy, but they're much more supportive. In undergrad, they're like, guess you just suck and you're out of the program, versus an undergrad and doctorate, they're like, what can we do to help you? And it's much better if you can just get through, get into grad school, you've got it. So let's see. I'll start with some anatomy and physiology. Since you guys don't know who I really am, I'll just go ahead and brag. I got 101% in anatomy and physiology, and I did not buy the textbook. I used my own drawings. of the images from class. So, let's see. Here we go. Here's the first image. They make you draw this about 100,000 million times. It's really stupid, and it always looks like this. So, like, so many times I had a test where it was this, but, like, blank, and then you had to label everything. It's so... oh my god. So it gets real old. So, yeah. You've got the tongue with the different parts. The tongue's actually really gross. Like, what you see of the tongue is actually very different. There's, like, a whole bunch of disgusting... like, it's a huge muscle. It's not like this flat thing like you see when you stick it out. It's like this disgusting thing in the back of your mouth. Then you've got your alveolar ridge, which is that bumpy part behind your teeth. You got these teeth here. Hard palate, which is the roof of your mouth. But then you've got the soft palate back here, which leads to the velum, which you can kind of feel in the back. It's what opens and closes off your nasal cavity. Yeah, tongues are weird. They're much grosser, like... here. Like, look at this image down here with the red. You can see, like, man, that's nasty. Not what you think your tongue looks like. And there's a lot of muscles, too. Human tongue's actually kind of amazing, and, like, the way the muscle is part of what gives us speech, is we have, like, muscles to control the tongue in a way that most other animals do not. And then, so the velum, which closes off the nasal cavity, so that air doesn't come out here when you speak. Some kids have a problem where air does come out here when they speak, which usually means either a cleft palate, or what we call velopharyngeal insufficiency, or they've coordination disorder. It can be a couple things. Then there's the pharynx, which they spend so much time teaching you about, but it turns out the pharynx isn't any kind of structure, really. It's just this section, and that really pissed me off, because I was like, it's not even really a thing. Then down here, the larynx, very important, obviously. And the vocal folds, which, wow, were they not what I expected. I always told them called vocal cords. I'm not going to show you guys a real-life picture of vocal folds because YouTube is going to think I'm showing you a picture of something else. Go ahead and Google it yourself, and you'll see what I mean. I highly recommend it. But I can only show you drawings of it because a real-life picture, like I said, Google's going to flag it, or YouTube's going to flag it right away. Another picture here. So this is what our tests always look like with these stupid little, like, lines. Oh, can't show you that. Why do I even have this up? What was this for? All right, here's the larynx. We had this project where we had to build a larynx out of whatever we wanted. So, like, I used clay, but then I found out that the kind of clay I had gotten did not work well with hot glue, which was my plan for how to glue the parts on. Yeah, you saw that, Otter? It's not what you're expecting, is it? You didn't know you had one of those in your throat, did you? And then, so you had to build your larynx. My friend, she did the best one. Hers was amazing. Mine held up just long enough to get graded, so I was very grateful for that. But yeah, larynx, which connects to the trachea. I actually like this picture much better. So this one's way cooler. So this part here, they're calling it the laryngeal prominence, but you'll also hear it called the thyroid notch. That's your Adam's apple. Everybody has an Adam's apple, not just men. It just tends to be bigger in men because they tend to have a bigger larynx. So then there's that. Here's the epiglottis, which everything you ever read will describe the epiglottis as a leaf-like structure. It's like, okay, so someone came up with that at some point and just that stuck. Hyoid bone is very important. That's what raises your larynx up and down for both speech and swallowing. And then there's all the other stuff in there. Then this is, where's the other one? NARP, it must be this one. This one shows, where's the one I liked? I guess that was it. So this is the inside of the larynx, like if you look at it through your throat. And you can see these are the vocal folds. Meow. So these are the vocal folds. So if you were like look down the larynx, here's your vocal folds. And then these muscles here make them go out or in, like open or close, and that's what makes part of what makes you speak. So that's pretty cool. So like it'll abduct or adduct them. And so when they're closed, they vibrate together and create sound while the air flows through them. And then when they're open, they turn them off. The end. You also have to learn all the cranial nerves and the cranial nerves were easy for me. What I struggled with was the blood of the brain. Here's what Circle of Willis. Hopefully nothing terrifying comes up. Yeah, so this is what we always had to learn. This Circle of Willis here. This is the blood throw, and so we had to learn this because then if you go into neuro, so like strokes, and then you know where the stroke is, which tells you where the blood potentially got cut off, which tells you what part of the brain and everything. I always had a little trouble with that. Because, I mean, look at the freaking names. Anterior this, anterior that, middle, posterior, posterior. Stop it. They're all the same. It also, I don't know what it is about this image that also just kind of stresses me out. And then, of course, we had to learn all about the different parts of the brain. The worst one is the numbered one. What's that one called? I hate that one. But yeah, the cranial nerves. Ooh, look how nasty that is. Ugh. So, oh yeah, this is a good one. Circle of Willis. Freaks me out. Anyone else freaked out by that? I did not like looking at this picture. They made us learn anatomy from the hips up. So all the way from like your pelvis and all the way up to the brain. And so you had to learn all the cranial nerves as well, which are obviously very important. And then there was the different lobes of the brain. Oh, here's one, like the sulci and the gyri. Weird words. Let's see, what can I'm gonna find a good one. Lobes of brain. I'm trying to remember what it's called. There's this one image that's like all... So we had to learn... Yeah, we didn't learn that. We had to learn the harder way. So like here you've got primary sensory cortex, primary motor cortex. You've got the sulci, the gyri. This one I always struggled with too. I didn't have to learn this very much, but I did a little bit. There was like one test with it, and that sucked. Then of course we had to learn about neurons and all that. So yes. But more interesting is what led me to speech pathology, which was I was figuring out after vet, like, what am I gonna do? And I took a anthropology of language class, and we did this whole section on IPA, and it was awesome, and I loved it. I hope you're feeling better, Khan's boyfriend, by the way. So this is something you have to memorize. I used to, between classes or like in non-major classes, I would just draw this out repeatedly. And the other things, I would just draw them and draw them and draw them all the time. And then while I was driving, I would repeat them to myself. These are all the consonants of American English. So then you've got all these cognates. So bilabial, 2 bilabial sounds. One is with your voice activated, buh, and one is without it activated, puh. So that's the difference between the cognates. They have the glottal stop on here, featured on Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 7. Glottal stop, which is usually only in English when we're speaking like informally. So like instead of, if you say the word mountain, but you say it mountain, that's a glottal stop. Or like I used to know this guy named like Quentin, but everyone will call him Quentin. It's featured more in like Hawaiian and Tagalog and other languages, but we use it in sloppy English, sloppy American English. Then there's the, oh, what the heck? The vowel quad. Also used to draw this out. Sometimes when I'm driving, I still go through this. I'm like, E, I, U, ah, oh, ah. And I just, never gonna forget. When I'm in the retirement home and I don't know who any of you are, I'll still be saying my vowel quad, and they'll be like, there she goes again with her gibberish. Go out a little bit. Ah, God. So this quad is supposed to represent your tongue. This is the back of your tongue, front of your tongue, and the tip. So it shows where in your mouth. I like, where's the image that, I had one. Where'd it go? I had an image I liked. Here we go, see? Isn't that that's kind of cool, right? They also made us memorize, like, the frequencies and everything. That was the worst. Oh, man, and this poor guy, his last name's Hickey. So, yes. Then for my job, sometimes I'm looking at this, which is what age kids are supposed to learn different sounds. Parents, it's so funny because parents are always like, they're not saying their sh sound. And I'm like, yeah, they're 18 months old. Or they're like, they can't say helicopter like this. And I'm like, yeah, again, 18 months old. So as you can see, there's not very many sounds that you're expected to master by 3 years old. It's pa, ba, ma, wa, ha, na. And sometimes t, duh. I don't know why t. No, that's whack. I don't know what that's doing over there. The one problem, though, is study to study has quite a bit of variety. Like, there's averages, obviously, but study to study, there's a lot of variety, which irritates the hell out of me. So, there's that one. So I give this to parents a lot, so they'll chill out. They're like, they can't say anti-disestablishmentarianism. And I'm like, oh God, that's a daily word. So yes, hey Gamma. Then I bet this is one you guys have never heard of. Speech. These are called phonological processes. They're calling them patterns, but usually in school they're called processes. So these are patterns of errors that kids make that are normal up until a certain point. So this is a good example. Well, that's actually a terrible example. This is a better example. Saying date instead of gate. It's normal until about 4, especially if you're a boy. No offense, guys. Usually if you look at a chart with like girls versus boys, the girls develop sooner when it comes to the speech stuff. So there's like all these things like gliding. So like if you say wabbit, that would be here. And that's normal all the way till 6 or 7. So this is another chart I have to give parents a lot because they're like, but they can't say rabbit with a r. They're saying wabbit. And I'm like, yeah, because it's the American English R, the is like a terrible sound. And if your kid doesn't develop it naturally, it sucks because it's really hard to teach. It's like not very many languages have that sound. Most use the tapped R like Spanish. Ra, ra, ra. Rabbit, 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 ra. Rojo, rojo, not rojo. Con, yes, excellent point, Con. So yes. On to what I say at the end of my evaluations when I give them. Yeah, R's are really difficult. The tapped R is easier, but still takes a while to develop. The bunched R, as it's called, is terrible. I think I missed. Oh, charts for averages between studies. Yeah, Con, there definitely is. Like, sometimes you'll see, like, these compilation charts, and then they'll mark this study says here, this study says here. Like, there's some, like, really long ones. It's probably in here. And you can see the same thing for, like, grammatical things, too. Like, this study says it develops by 4.5. This one says 4 and 4 months. So there's definitely, like, averages. They'll also do things where they'll be like, okay, 60% have developed it by this age, but 90% have developed it by this age. So they'll have that, too. I think I missed a question. Did I? No, maybe not. Oh, I was going to say what I always say after the debrief and an evaluation for that kid. What questions do you have? You're not supposed to say, do you have any questions? Because everybody's going to be like, no. More a lot of people. You're supposed to say, what questions do you have? Then they can say none, but then they can also give a question. What questions do you have? Yeah. Yep. Correct, Con. Yeah, Concina, like, a lot of people do that, like, you know, because it's like, you're a widow baby. Yeah, I get it, Con. It's hard. The American, the bunched R is terrible. I meant questions about speech therapy because there's a whole lot more things I could talk about. I just didn't want to bore you guys. Want to go with what you're interested in. my areas of expertise, so I specialize in birth to 3 years old. My areas of expertise are autism and multilingualism. I don't know if it's cheating to specialize in autism since I'm autistic, but you know. So Ranstuen, that's when we would do speech therapy. So I was keeping an eye on my nephew for a while because he wasn't saying his K's and G's until almost like four and a half. And I was like, I think we're gonna need to maybe work on that. But then right at the last minute, he did. So you'd start doing speech therapy for them, which the speech sounds, it's tricky with the 0 to 3 kids because there's some kids, even though they're not supposed to have mastered a lot of sounds, their speech is just like completely unintelligible. You don't know what they're saying. And that's hard to work on at this age because they aren't going to do like flashcards and stuff, so you have to make it engaging. I do help kids with multiple languages all the time. At least half my caseload is Spanish speaking or bilingual English-Spanish. So I support those kids. I've done speech therapy in Spanish for Spanish speech sounds because, you know, I've learned about that. And then in general, I can support with like language learning in multiple languages. Like before, I've had to look up like grammatical development in Arabic and grammatical development in Mandarin Chinese and stuff like that. And I have to like, because those are different because I can't apply those same grammatical norms in English. Like plurals, for example. Plurals in English are very different from plurals in other languages. Like Tagalog, for example, instead of adding like an S, they add like mga, which means it's plural. Hold on, I'm trying to catch up. Oh God, okay. Sleepy, if you need help with your S sounds, I can give you some tips depending on which kind of error you're making because there's a couple different ways to do S's wrong. My typical day black light is actually not at the office. It's going from home to home. I do office when I'm doing the classes, so the preschool classes. It's technically preschool, but I'm usually going from home to home because that's where kids are most comfortable, and that's where I'm teaching their parents how to support them. Parents defending terrible children's behavior, that actually doesn't happen as much as you think, Con. More often, they're too harsh or just worried. But I do get some kids that, the parents just don't want to do anything about their behavior. And that's rough. Like, for now, it's fine because they're at home, right? But I feel bad for the kindergarten teacher because that's going to suck. Like, I can see how rough that's going to be. Kids that just stop talking in general, do you mean like they're speaking and just one day they stop talking, or they never started talking? Oh, you make TH sounds instead. Oh, well that's not so bad, Sleepy, actually, because if you're making TH sounds instead of the S, your air is still coming out the front, so that's easier to learn to do correctly versus people who do like Sylvester the cat, that's harder to correct because your air is coming out the side of your tongue, and that's just obviously totally wrong. So Sleepy, what you need to do is move your tongue back a little bit so it's just behind your teeth instead of so far forward between your teeth. One day just suddenly stop talking. Dow, I've actually never encountered that. I have encountered kids that never stop talking. I mean, never stop talking. I have encountered kids who haven't started talking yet. That, what you could be describing could be selective mutism. That can happen when there's trauma. So that is something that can happen, sometimes, or if there's some kind of brain injury that can happen. I've never heard of that happening with autism. We do sometimes see like fluctuation in how much someone with autism talks, but not usually just altogether stop talking. So that one would definitely need more exploration. Yeah, blue trauma, like if they experienced a traumatic event of some kind. Like I knew a girl in elementary school who like witnessed a store get robbed with a bad weapon, and she didn't stop talking, but that's the kind of thing that a kid might have a reaction to where they become selective mutism. Yeah, bullying is a traumatic thing that could result in selective mutism or could also cause a stutter, potentially. There's this totally whack study that happened decades ago. It's called the Monster Study, because the study this woman did was, if I emotionally and verbally abuse some children, will they develop a stutter? The answer is yes, except she couldn't fix it. They just had a stutter. And so she traumatized kids into having a stutter. Isn't that nice? It's crazy. Like, they used to do some, I mean, I'm sure you've heard of some other studies, but like, they used to do some effed up stuff. And stutters are tricky because there's things like neurogenic stutters, which can be caused by a brain injury, but most of the time it's related to, I was gonna say autism, I mean anxiety. It's more often anxiety or bullying or trauma. So it's tricky because a lot of the treatment has to do with relaxation. You talking about are you talking about neurogenic stuttering, Master Chief? Or are you talking about, from a brain injury or from, yeah, that's probably the craziest speech therapy related study ever done. Because like, usually in studies, you know, you have to be like, these are the benefits, these are the costs, this is what would do to the people who don't get the treatment, blah, blah, blah. But in that one, it's just like, well, you got a stutter now. The answer is correct. And the reason it's called the Monster Study is the researcher was the monster. So that's special. A board or standardized exam to practice. So you do have to do the praxis. So yes, so you have to go for your clinical fellowship years, and that's 9 months to a year, and you have to be supervised and have a mentor, and you have to pass all these standards of like, you're able to do a good assessment, you're able to write good reports, you're able to, you know, blah blah blah. And then straight out of grad school, you have to do a test called the praxis, which is stressful as hell. The hard thing about the praxis is the thing about speech therapy that's crazy is when you're learning, you have to know everything from birth to like hospice, everything ever. And you have no idea what's going to be on the praxis exam. You have to be prepared for anything. It's crazy. So yes, and then you have to get 30 hours of continuing education every 3 years. And so the state has annual stuff, but the bigger thing is the national. So yeah. ADHD could actually impact someone's speech if their mind is working faster, yes. One thing that you might look into is called cluttering, which is similar to stuttering but different. It's similar to stuttering in that they're both considered fluency disorders, but cluttering is more about everything's coming out so fast, I'm like not organizing my sounds well kind of thing. It's not something I deal with at this age, but it's something very interesting I did learn about. Oh man, Master Chief, that's messed up. They did not, yeah, you know, that's a shame because I feel like back in the day, they made speech therapy way too clinical. Because I'm always emphasizing with parents the importance of not having pressure, because it's important for child or adult to feel successful. No matter how well they're doing, they need to feel successful because they're trying and they're working on it. That's going to increase their motivation. Like, your motivation should not be shame. It's very upsetting. So, yeah, I don't like it when I see people who do that. Speech therapists who are not... You got to be really, like, adult. Like I said, whether it's an adult or a child, it's important that you're supportive and positive. So you try to keep blah, 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 blah. Speech difficulty when physical trauma. So are you talking about like brain trauma, or there can be physical trauma to the larynx as well? There's a lot of different kinds of physical trauma. So there's, with a stroke, there's different kinds of aphasia. Like Brokaw's aphasia would be the one where you're trying really hard to speak and you know what you want to say, but the words won't come out. Oh, thank you, Anvek, for becoming a member. Tier 3. Oh, awesome. Hey, we haven't seen you in a while, Anvek. Great to see you. You get early access to the upcoming song. They said it was Wait, they told you that you were stuttering on purpose, Master Chief? That's insane. Did you know you have a stutter? That's so rude. No, really? I'm so glad you told me. Man, that's upsetting. I remember one time when I worked at a sandwich place, this guy came in and he was ordering, and I could tell right away he had a stutter because he was getting what's called a block, which is someone having a block while they're stuttering. It'll kind of look like they're choking. But I just waited for him and I let him speak, you know? And I think so often people would be like, you know, pressuring and being like, oh, what do you want? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, just give a person time. Give them respect. Online, that's so rude. I'm so sorry that happens to you. That's really uncool. Yeah, I'd like to think speech therapy's gotten better. It's definitely gotten better for things like autism and ADHD. I hope it's gotten better for things like stuttering as well. Just in general, the speech stuff, because like I said, it's got to be positive, because your brain learns better when it's not stressed. That's what I'm always telling parents, is like, if your brain is stressed too much, you're not going to learn effectively. You have to be in a safe state for your brain to learn better. You'd think it would be common sense, Acacia, but it's so often not. It's crazy. Like, people so often, I get so many parents who their kids, even at like 24 months, sorry, I work in this, 2 years old, parents will be like, I think they know how to talk and they just don't want to. And I'm like, no. I respect that you think that, but nope, definitely not. Hey, Joshua. So, yes, I definitely enjoy working with the autistic children because I definitely have a kinship with them, and I think I can understand a lot of the things they do that other people find confusing. I'm like, no, that makes a lot of sense to me. Like, lining things up is like a really common thing in like autistic toddlers, and I'm like, yeah, it's really satisfying when they're all lined up super straight, and then you can look at it and be like, yep, looks good. I'm gonna look at it from this side, I'm gonna look at it from that side. Looks good. Yeah, it's unfortunate, Gamma. Not just people with stutters, but people with any kind of like difference, you know? Like, even if you just speak a different language, like you're not fluent in English, but you speak some, like still they're gonna be like, no. And it's like, gotta get it out. Don't have time for this, you know? So it's like, it's pretty crazy. Joshua, every VTuber becomes a cat girl on a long enough timeline. Give the people what they want. All people don't line things up. No, they don't, Master Chief. Ooh. German kids. Oh. I can imagine that, Con, because I had like, when I always get really scared to try to speak other language. Like when I was in Italy, some people were not nice about me trying to speak Italian. Some were, but some were like super mean. So I can imagine if you're a child trying to learn, it would be scary. Yeah, so it's, yeah. I also do the autism, evals, evaluations, which I really like, because the one that I'm trained to do, I think is really good. Yeah, thanks for the reminder, Joshua. Gotta keep me on top of things. So, yeah, I enjoy going to the homes to teach kids. I really love doing the classes too. And seeing the kids like interact with each other is really funny, because they're like trying to figure out how socializing with their own age works, because they've socialized with their siblings, they've socialized with their parents, but they're trying to figure out how does it work when I socialize with someone my size, and it's pretty funny. Excuse me. Interesting, Con. So, like, you started using less language between 2 and 4, or are you talking about that was when you were in Germany? Oh, that's really hard. It's hard. See, it's hard when you're receiving negative feedback, whether it's about your speech or a stutter or your socializing. It makes you not want to do it anymore. So it really has a bad impact. That's why I'm always explaining to parents, like, if you're reacting negatively to them trying to do things, they're not going to want to try to do things anymore because they're getting negative feedback. Hey, Erasmus. Blacklight. Yeah, I was so glad to finally be in the field. I mean, I still have to do a lot of paperwork, but I really enjoy not having to do... Like, they always made me write these crazy long reports, which I guess technically I do that now, but it's all a boiler point. So I just put in a little bit. I didn't get any boiler points in grad school. They should have been more realistic. So... Even went to grad school for my master's, yep. Yeah, Acacia, the pitch accent is so tricky for Japanese. That's the thing I really struggle with, because I was told by my coworker who's Japanese that my accent is good, like the you know, the consonants, the vowels, but I know my pitch accent's all off. Drives me crazy. Yeah. Oh, dogs. The dog's fussy. Yeah, it's definitely helped me with the voice acting, because I'm definitely very tuned in to, like, voices and, like, you know, with, I didn't go into voice therapy, but, you know, obviously I still learned about it. So there's, like, all the different vocal quality types, and then also, you know, I think I'm more tuned into, like, how someone articulates, you know? Like, I'll be listening closely to, like, one of the characters and be like, she really aspirates at the end of her words, or she really, like, aspirates her S's, or, like, you know, or for, like, accents, like, I notice things about that. Yeah, Master Chief, it's really hard to get better at a language without someone to practice with. Like, my Spanish, when I actually started practicing it every day for work, it got so much better. It's really hard without someone to practice with. I know there's places online you can try to, like, that are supposed to, like, help you find that, but I guess a lot of people just use that for dating too. I've seen videos of that. So hey, there's that alternative as well. Oh, thank you very much, Ranstuin. It helps a lot when, like, you know, I'm speaking and then, like, if my coworker corrects me in the moment, like, I've told them to correct me, so it helps a lot. They're not just, like, being rude. I'm like, no, please correct me so I can learn in the moment, because it's helpful, like, right in the moment to correct myself. And I always find if I learn a word from my coworker, I remember it, like, just one time. But there's some words I've looked up in the dictionary like a dozen times and they just don't stick. Because it's just not the same, and that's why kids learn better from interactions versus from, you know, parents are always thinking I'm going to teach their kid with, like, flashcards or, like, some kind of exercises, and I'm like, no, we're going to teach them by interacting and maximizing our interaction. Yeah, Acacia, I'm not surprised that happened. Like, I feel like, you know, it's like those girls at the gym who are like, every guy's looking at me, and it's like, okay, they're not, though. They're, like, using the mirrors, and they're trying to exercise, and I don't know. That's obnoxious. Unless you were saying to them, your place or mine, then that's on you. Yeah, learn by doing is much more effective. And sometimes I'm doing very silly things. A kid today really wanted me to ride her tricycle thing. It was really hard. Have you ever tried to ride a toddler tricycle? I'm only 5'2", but it is still extremely difficult and painful. Gamma, I would say yes, because so for some people, learning another language can be more difficult, and usually that often when that's going to happen is if learning their first language was difficult. So someone who had a delay in their first language or a speech disorder in their first language would be more likely to struggle like learning another language often. If that makes sense. So that's why, like, if a kid, they used to over refer kids. Like if a kid came from, like, let's say they moved from Mexico to the USA, they'd put them in speech therapy and be like, they can't speak English. And it's like, well, okay, but that's not a disorder. Unless they have a disorder in Spanish, their first language, then we're not going to treat them for a disorder. But then if they did test in Spanish and they had a disorder in Spanish, then they would treat that, because that would also likely transfer to English as well, and they'd treat it for both. So yeah, some people definitely have a harder time learning languages than others. Especially depends on the modality as well. You know, like some people are going to be able to learn more easily from an app than others, and that also has to do with learning style. Master Chief, you have ridden a toddler tricycle and you think it's easy to do. How do you do it? It's like 12 inches off the ground, and then you're supposed to make it move. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that could also be partially like a phonological thing, like an auditory processing thing. Some people will like you're describing, like they'll struggle with sequencing the syllables, which also could be related to the cluttering as well. Acacia, that's true, and it's also not true. There are similarities. The problem is, honestly, the truth is that learning a second language should be, the best way to learn it would be most similarly to a native language, but that's not usually how it goes. There's a lot of crossover between the two, but there are also differences. Paperwork. Why is paperwork hell? I just hate doing it. I mean, part of it's just the energy, because it's like, okay, I've seen 5 kids today and I've bounced off the walls with them, and now I am tired and I don't want to go and type out these mundane notes. Turn your legs outwards. You're not like what? Outside of your foot. Oh my god, Master Chief. Okay. I guess I'll try that out tomorrow. Again, Acacia, that's true, but also learning a new language, it would be more effective if you're also, like, learning it through listening is really crucial too. And theoretically, you could learn it through listening and not through learning the rules discreetly. That's my issue with like apps. So like for Japanese, I didn't bother with reading and writing because that's not a naturalistic way to learn a language. I started with listening and speaking because that's how you learn language. And also, Acacia, while it is absorbed, their brain is actually analyzing the grammar. It's just so much easier. Like, their brains are just primed to do it in a much easier way than when you're older and learning the language. I constantly get sick. Okay, that's a good question. Partially because toddlers are germ factories. Like, they are sick nonstop. I had one kid who literally had green mucus coming out of him the whole time I saw him for like a year, at least. They also cough on you. And they wipe their boogers on you. They vomit on you. They cough on their toys. They put their hands in their mouth. They put their toys in their mouth. So, like, constant exposure to germs. But I'm also wondering if my immune system is weak right now, like the past couple years, because I should be able to fight that off more effectively. So I'm kind of looking into that right now. I've wondered if my immune system is not working as effectively as it should. Yeah, Erasmus knows. Like, it's crazy. They're just constantly sick. Especially if they go to daycare and then they bring it home. Or like my kids who have older siblings bring it home and it's just like mess. Yeah, Blacklight, that's the way to go. I mean, maybe that's why I can't get the pitch good for Japanese is Star Trek's pushing it out. I am allowed to wear a mask at work, but it does impact the therapy. Also, I really hate masks, like sensory-wise. For years, we were required to wear a mask, and we only lifted the mask mandate, like, maybe 2 years ago, maybe less. But it does impact, because the kids then can't see your mouth, and seeing your mouth when hearing the sounds is actually really important. For adults, too. I don't know if you ever noticed, like, when people are wearing a mask, it's harder to understand them, even if you can hear them. So, yeah. Yeah, Sleepy, I mean, sometimes I do, but I mostly just make sure to wash my hands and sanitize a lot. I used to not worry about it as much. Like, obviously I did it, but now I'm, like, really on top of it. Like, yeah. So. Well, Acacia, they actually do learn how to conjugate. Like, through listening, they acquire some phrases, and then they start to learn how to apply the rule. That's why you'll see kids making grammatical errors they used to not make. So they used to say went, but then they start saying goed, like G-O-E-D, because they learned the ED rule. So they're over applying it to their regular went. Blue blip, trying to catch up. Yeah, facial expression and the lip reading, and those are both, it's important, so it's hard. A Klingon kid having trouble with speech. Well, I would include it with, I would obviously, like, it would need to be in the battle context, the therapy. You know, I do play is how I do therapy with these kids. With a Klingon child, obviously, I would do it with, battle. Blacklight, once or twice, I've been in a tight situation like that. I won't go into detail. It's the worst. Yeah, I would say maybe twice in almost 8 years. I'm glad it's been so few, because it's a really awful situation to be in. Yeah, Milkman, actually they added air purifiers to every room in our office. So that I do think that's helping. So I think that is a good idea. Schemes. Con, yeah, I mean, so, like, we map, kids learn by, like, they map, like, you see a dog, and an adult labels it dog. And so then, like, yeah, some kids might be like, okay, dog is like, animals are dog, but then they see the cat, and their parents like cat. So they're like, oh, okay, these animals that look like this generally are dog, and these animals that look like this are cat. And then, you know, I feel like that happened in, like, a movie. What movie am I thinking of? That's gonna bug me. Oh my god, no, you guys, it's Star Trek. With Lol and Data. Painting! Smell! You're like, this is not... Okay, gotta look that up if you don't know that scene with Data and Lol. So... yeah, that's definitely part of it, Con, is they, like, they map the meanings, and then, yeah, they start out with the bigger groups, but then you, like, exactly, like, so then maybe they see a fox, and they're like, dog! And the parent's like, oh, that's fox. Yeah, of course it was Star Trek and not a cartoon. Ridiculous. Yeah, she's like, painting, flower, smell. Show me more, father. They don't usually say that part, though. So, yeah. Data. Oh, yeah, Data's my guy, Rand's doing. Picard is my grandfather, but Data's my guy. He's the best. Yeah, they're gonna like figure out by like broad categories and then kind of narrowing it down. Oh, Spooky Derpington. Thanks for becoming a member. I like your name. That's awesome. Love it. Message me in the Discord to upgrade your status to get into the members only channel. Is that bad, Con? My dog knows some words, although there's a lot of debate about dogs and language acquisition and how it differs from humans and like what they actually understand and what they're just like learning as patterns. Supposedly the most verbally smart dog ever was a, oh, congratulations, Erasmus, to your 3-month, anniversary. The most verbally smart dog ever was a border collie who knew 200 words and could, like, demonstrate the knowledge of it, so that was pretty interesting. My dog knows several words and signs. Yeah, Master Chief, there's a Discord. Lots of channels. Got the members only channel. We got the animals and nature channel. We got all kinds of Nikkei channels. Oh, that's weird, Spooky. My dog knows several words and signs. I always use sign language with her. Universal grammar. No, I don't deal with that much, actually. Not at this age group. What's your question, Master Chief? Do 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 do. That's the theme to Bluey, by the way. Do 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 do. Oh, thank you, Erasmus. Thank you so much. Linguistic skills are always interesting. Yeah, it is really interesting because they, like, in different ways too, like how they use language, like with like crows and the different sounds they can make, or like they just did a recording of sharks that were making clicking sounds, and they also were learning how to communicate with whales. But then with dogs, what's interesting too is I watch how she uses like her eye contact, you know, because like there's something called like a 2-point or a 3-point gaze, where like if I wanted you to give me something in your hand, I might look at the like, let's say you have a candy bar and I really want it, I might stare at the candy bar and then look at you in the eye and then look back at the candy bar to be like, hey, I want that. Sometimes I see my dog do it. Yeah, Ranstu, and I've heard the same thing. And honestly, the funny thing is a lot of things that work behaviorally and like socially for dogs work very similarly for toddlers. Like I use similar behavioral, positive behavioral strategies. And, no problem, Spooky. Always welcome if you change your mind. So, oh, treats and crows, yeah. Yeah, Erasmus, it's pretty crazy. And they've also seen, that dogs and corvids, I believe, both can, count to a certain number. Like, they've done different tests, and they seem to be able to actually, like, count. I think it's a different number with each. Like, I think dogs can go to, like, 3 or maybe 5. But I think with crows and ravens, they even found that they had, like, different sounds to correlate to the number, which is crazy. So that's pretty cool. Yes, the kind of behavior reinforcement I use is called... well, academically, for a long time, it's been called authoritative parenting. So there's permissive parenting. Obviously, that's not the good one. Authoritarian parenting, as you can tell by the name, not good either. Authoritative is the best. Did I know what I was doing, Master Chief? Yes. I always know what I'm doing, even when I don't. Still pretend I do. Well, you're supposed to fill it in. I go, the wheels on the bus go. Gonna wait for you to fill it in, Charlemagne. Yes, Blacklight, I am so with you there. It was stressful. I am definitely interested in more cozy games. I'm not good at splitting attention. And I also felt a lot of pressure being watched. So, Yeah. Did he condition you, or did you condition him? Want a spam emote too. I love spam. Round and round, there you go, Sleepy. Yeah, round and round, round and round, round and round. It's okay, Charlemagne. If you didn't fill it in, I would do it for you. That's part of keeping the pressure low. I would leave a pause. The wheels on the bus go round and round. And if you use just a gesture, I'd fill it in too. You would not have to do it. I would not leave you stressed out. I don't do, what is the word I'm looking for? I just forgot the term. How many can... yeah. I'm trying not to sing the new song because that's in my head too. Someone else mentioned... Was that you that mentioned Randstuen before? Because someone else mentioned The Witness as well, so I'll have to look that into. I'll have to look into that. And speaking of the next song, the music video just finished. It's way more complicated, especially than like the OG ones. Yeah, I'm excited. It's about an SR unit. Aw, I'm sorry she passed, Spooky. Sounds like a good birdie. What was her name? Yeah. He tried to take a page out of Katy Perry's book, I guess. Did you see that article about Katy Perry, Con? I guess it wasn't an article. She was on a podcast. I do not wear a lab coat. I just have doctor in my email signature. I try not to be like, you know, obnoxious about it. It was funny though, one time I came to see this little girl and her mom had told her I was like, the doctor was coming, and so she was calling me the name of some character in one of her shows that's a doctor, so that was funny. No Annie's song, Blacklight. No Annie's song. That's called, Baby Got Back. Get it? Get it? So, yes. Have to figure out what I'm gonna play tomorrow. And let me know any other topic ideas for future streams. Let me know how you felt about this stream. We can always do another stream with another topic. And no, I'm not an MD. I'm a doctor of speech-language pathology. So a doctorate of my field versus a PhD. It's like a there's like doctor of veterinary medicine, medical doctor, doctor of dental. Why is it? What's the S for? Anyway, yeah. Let me know what you guys thought of this stream. If you enjoyed it or if you hated it, that's good to know too, because we won't do it again. Let me know if you have other ideas for future streams. And last chance to vote in the poll for my next impression stream. Sorry, God. Here's the link. Woo! I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I'm very glad. Right now, Lily-Wise is in the lead. And yeah, I was stressed, Acacia. It's very stressful to do like a non-cozy game with people watching you. That's why I haven't done some of the other games. Like even Guild Wars I found kind of stressful with people watching me. Oh, thanks, Con. I appreciate that. Why psychotherapy is a lie? Like mental health therapy, Master Chief? Yeah, totally. And those of you in the Discord, maybe I'll make a... there's already a content suggestions channel, so you're welcome to put ideas in there for future streams. Yep, that's right. But she's more like classy British, not British. She's classy British. They pronounce their T's. Or is it a Ted? Get it? Because they call Z's Z. People didn't seem to like, well, she got a lot of hate, but maybe this will get you to like her. Oh, good, Acacia. I'm glad to give you a positive memory. Oh, thank you, Sleepy. Yeah, no, don't, there's no shame in pronouncing a sound, mispronouncing any sound. Besides, you're just mispronouncing it by an arbitrary standard. You can, you know what, according to you, it could be the correct way to do it. But yeah, just try moving your tongue tip a little further back, behind the teeth versus more between. You're interdentalizing your tongue, and that is why it's creating more that S, that TH versus the S. Oh yeah, Master Chief, I get what you're saying. I definitely have thoughts on that, but yeah, glad to see you all tonight on Hot Wheels. What does that mean? I'm not super knowledgeable, but I could learn. I always like doing deep dives into new things. No Oz. I feel like it's hard to do a Boston accent without sounding like I'm parodying it. It's hard to do a genuine one. Thank you, Sleepy. Have a great night, everyone. Thanks for joining. Kakram Jupue. Welcome to all new members, and don't forget to put suggestions in the content suggestions on the Discord. And don't forget to vote in the poll. With the VA, you know, I'm not super knowledgeable about that DAO, but I believe one of my peers in grad school did an internship at the VA, where we were. So, yeah. Oh, does it help with the voice acting? Yes, it helps a lot, honestly, because my ear is very attuned to speech, you know, because I'm always listening and analyzing, so it helps me definitely. Oh my god, I can't do a Valley Girl. I'm from California. Gross. Night, everyone.